Hello again and welcome everyone. I am his most awesomest Night Train, casting yet another epic duel between our players here. And with me as always is my B to the F squared.
The Robo, so nice they named him twice. Double Robo here casting on Metalopolis. We're going to start with
Metalopolis.
the Metalopolis. I always feel like I should say that in like a robot voice. Casting here on Metalopolis. We have the blue Zerg in the bottom right, iSTop. And on the left side, we have the red Protoss, coLrsvp from Team Complexity.
Nice, nice. So, worth noting, this is the GSL version of the map, I'm pretty sure, which means two things. Like all tournament maps, they have this supply depot here to prevent you walling off the bottom of the ramp, and it also means that close by ground positions are blocked. And the general consensus for that is because it forces races like Zerg who don't want to be expanding towards their enemy to be expanding towards their enemy, and so we do see close by air positions, but not close by ground.
Yeah. So we're going to have close by air. I think that it can mean one of two things. It can either mean that the Zerg wants to go for a quick 3 or 4 bases because they can expand around like you were talking about, or it can mean that they want to go something air to harass the Protoss. Usually mutas. Sometimes you see drops, but that's a little rare from Zerg.
Right.
But the first thing he's going to have to deal with here is RSVP putting his pylon on the low ground. So probably going to go for that Forge Fast expand again. It's pretty popular in ZVP here.
It's been popular recently, yeah.
Yeah, it was something, Naniwa was famous for doing it every single game at MLG recently. A lot of the Korean tosses do it, and it just gives you so many more options. Protoss is a very gas-heavy race, and PvZ is the most gas-heavy matchup that Protoss has. So, the more gas you can get earlier, the better.
Right.
And so that two base makes it so much easier to go Colossus, to go Stargate, to put down DTs, to do something to harass the Zerg and stop them from making drones.
Right. Yeah, very good call. We're going to see a similar build, it looks like, from top, where he gets that spawning pool for safety, and then goes right into the hatchery. That's not something you tend to see. Usually you'll either see a gas in a spawning pool for some kind of early Ling aggression, or the hatchery first. And he does have this Overlord here. Really, as soon as he saw the pylon on the low ground, he knew this was coming. We have a Forge Fast expand. It is pretty easy to kind of wall this whole area off right here with some key buildings, forcing Zerglings and things to have to run kind of around this way. To be interesting to see how RSVP walls this off if he chooses to. This pylon, and throwing down a gateway here to delay the expansion even further. Wow.
Yeah, that's a really ballsy play. I'm not gonna lie. You don't lose that many minerals by putting down the pylon and then canceling it, because you only lose 25 minerals. But
right.
In this case, he's gonna lose 100 minerals for letting that finish. He did not cancel his gateway, so he's gonna lose 150 minerals from that.
And he's supply blocked as well.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, on Metalopolis, it's really easy to just throw down this third base because you know you're going to take it anyway. So top, throwing down both bases at the same time, knowing how far behind RSVP is because of that little move he did there. So I think that, RSVP, like I was talking about, you always want to delay the Zerg as much as possible. But that kind of worked against him, and I think it's now going to put him a little bit behind.
Right. Well, I mean, Zerg unfortunately had kind of pooled up all those minerals. He, thrown out a couple Zerglings to clear out that pylon, but he knows, short of more or less all-in level Zerglings, he's not breaking this anytime soon. Especially now that the wall is complete. I mean, yeah, you can kill quite a few SCV or quite a few probes, excuse me, but he knows what was he going to do, make a bunch of Zerglings and have them sit there, so he might as well use those minerals for something worth his while, and that was a very ballsy move by both these players so far.
Yeah, I really like this move from top. He's going to have such good production that his second base on his third base spot is finishing now, and his expansion's going to finish here really soon too. So it's basically, a lot of Zergs like to throw down a macro hatch anyway. So now your macro hatch is a base.
Yeah, and it's a place you're going to want it to be. You know what I mean? That's a useful place to have.
Yeah. So, I think it would have been a little safer for him to put this third base in his base so he can base while he bases.
No dog.
But seeing how far behind RSVP was, it was totally fine for him to put this base down here.
Right.
And really, RSVP is going to have to do something to pressure this. He's putting down a Robo now, and he's getting +1. So if he goes for Colossus after this, they benefit hugely from the +1 upgrade.
Sure.
But he's only got 2 assimilators right now.
Right. Well, it's worth noting. Top doing basically the same thing he did last game, getting those early Zerglings, but not getting speed. He's just started researching speed now, with a Roach Warren and an Evolution Chamber going down. So, you know, a build that, you know, I would say RSVP is pretty darn vulnerable right now. But Top opting for a little bit of a techier, little safer build. It's very interesting.
Yeah, RSVP just threw down those 2 gases now, so if he puts, he's going to put probes in him now. Probably going to go for the Robo Bay after this. Probably going to get an Observer first just to see what's going on. But
yep, good call.
Then he's going to be going for, oh, you're a little bit ahead of me. That's okay, though. But then he's going to be going for Colossus here. So he's got 4 gates, excuse me, the one at the front. Going to be getting, you know, some sort of tech units here. But you're right, he looks a little vulnerable at the start here, and with these 3 bases, Top is probably going to be able to put on some really good pressure here.
Right, and worth noting, Top, learning from last game, he's got 2 Spore Crawlers thrown down. That was probably half the reason for that early Evo chamber. Not one in his main. Oh, there goes one in his main. Ironically enough, RSVP has him read like a book. He knew that there weren't going to be a lot of early speedlings, and he does even see here you know, Zergling without speed here running by. So he's actually not going for Stargate, though now that Top has seen that Robo, he probably realizes, yeah, he actually canceled a Spore Crawler. He realizes, yeah, there's not going to be any Stargates coming out. And the Observer actually dies. Wasn't expecting that Spore Crawler there.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting, and that matters not because it costs a lot of money necessarily, but because it costs Robo time. And, you know, if you look at opportunity cost, if he wants to rebuild that, which you're going to have to in order to kind of, you know, deny anything from the Zerg and also keep an eye on his creep and destroy the creep as you get there, you know, he's going to have to do something with that. But he's going to be forced to make another one, basically.
Right. Yeah,
Robo
he did.
Bay going down now, by the way.
Yeah. Good call by you. I do hate it when you're right, but fortunately, you tend to be right, and it's kind of annoying. But yeah, so Zerglings finally have speed. An Immortal comes out. Yeah, I don't believe he has another Observer. Oh, he does. Just kidding.
Yeah, he's got one sitting over the creep right now.
Yeah. Sees those roaches. Yep.
Yeah, he sees the roaches coming out. The Lings are going to see his 3rd base. So RSVP choosing to do a little base wall off here with these cannons and pylons instead of doing the normal gate wall off that people usually do with the ramp. This is kind of good because it puts your cannons close enough to protect your mineral line and also protect the gates at the same time.
Right. 3 cannons too.
But yeah, putting 3 cannons up, he is afraid. I think he's very afraid of a counterattack.
And as rightly he should be, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, definitely. He knows the Zerg's been on 3 base for a while. He sees all those roaches. He sees the Lings. And it looks like Top's going to be gearing up to bring in these Lings in here, but these cannons are pretty well protected. And
the roaches coming down here through the south. Oh, they're going to converge on this natural, I think, that is more or less completely undefended. This could be really bad for RSVP. He does see it with the Observer now, and now he's got to decide, well, do I defend my natural or defend my 3rd? And here come the roaches and the Lings. There's only 1 cannon here. The Forge getting focused down. The probes are in really bad shape, and here come the army of RSVP. Some pretty good force fields, locking out quite a few of those roaches. However, the Zerglings are in the main base here, doing tons and tons of damage. The probes forced to run again from both bases. The army chasing the Zergling or the roaches out now, really paying no mind to those Zerglings as they do crazy amounts of damage.
Yeah, the Lings are doing a lot of damage in the base. 7 workers killed so far. 31 units killed, I should say, for RSVP. The Colossus is out now, so he's safe. But that cost was pretty high. You know, seven workers killed by the Zerg there for pretty much just Lings. He was able to save a lot of his roaches. Right. And he looks like he's going to be stockpiling up for another attack here. So many roaches coming up to this top base here, and he may be able to give it some good pressure.
Right, and the Protoss army, he does have that Colossus out now. That's going to be extremely helpful, assuming he can keep it alive, but not if he... Oh, quite a few Lings getting thrown away. Though these roaches barreling up here towards the 3rd base, these cannons will hold off for only a amount of time. And, you know, RSVP slowly moving his Stalkers and Immortals back here, but not before the damage is definitely going to be done.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, in the middle of this top is throwing down his 4th base. He's piling up a lot of units at the front of his base. He's not all in with these roaches at all.
Right. And he managed to snipe the Nexus.
Yeah, that's huge. Kills the Nexus, killing some probes now. And these roaches, you know, our RSVP may counterattack here thinking, well, I just killed his whole army. I've got a timing here.
Right.
But in reality, he's been stockpiling units at home, and he's going to be just fine for a counter push.
Yeah, that was very, very good. We see 7 roaches on the way with the 1 armor upgrade, which is actually the only other upgrade he got last game first, as opposed to the attack here. We see 1-1 from the Protoss army. Yeah, RSVP is like, well, I just lost a base. He is throwing up his 4th here, though these Lings are definitely going to spot it if he's paying attention. Yep, he's going to force a cancel on that. Definitely. Ooh, this is a very, very tricky position, I'd say, for RSVP.
Yeah, the toss is in a really difficult place. You usually want to sit back.
Oh, that Colossus, no! Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. That was really close.
That's totally fine. The Colossus almost getting killed there. The second one coming in to save it. He's going to give him a little bro toss high 5 there for sure. Or what do they have? Claw 5, stalker leg 5, whatever they have.
Bro toss high 5 was close enough. We'll let you live with that one.
Close enough. But Archons can't do that. Or I should say DTs, because then they turn into an Archon.
Yeah, Templars can't do that. Yeah, you're right.
No high-fiving for Templars. They don't go well at sports games. But it looks like RSVP, he's only got 158 supply, so he might try to move out and attack this, but Top has that 4th base up. He's got so much more production, and he's got a ton of units here. And Toss really doesn't want to move out until he's maxed out, really, on 3 base.
Right. Well, I think it's worth noting, and probably a fair fight. There's a whole lot of roaches there, but those Colossus can stay alive and stay protected. They're going to do a whole lot of damage. This is a pretty good position. Some pretty crazy force fields go down. A lot of roaches stuck back there. The Colossus doing just fine. That was the kind of engagement that RSVP really needed. A 3rd Colossus coming down now. So that was very good for him. He's not out of the woods yet, but that was quite the engagement that he wanted.
Yeah, and that's the strength of Protoss on this, on the map Metalopolis, since you have these 2 small, basically highways that connect the bases. You have a lot of chokes where force fields are really powerful. These Colossus are going to harass this 4th base. And I really think RSVP needs to keep up the pressure here.
Right, but he realizes he can't as a handful of roaches start bailing towards the natural. There was a small force there, including a Colossus prepared. He is trying to throw up his 4th as well. But this is the power of Zerg, that counterattack that drives every player crazy. And it, you know, if RSVP doesn't do a lot of damage, he's really just going to get stuck in his base forever.
Yeah, good blink on top of those roaches. Good force fields from the sentries blocking out a lot of these Zerglings. And bad AI on the Zerglings, not running around the force fields there. So
right, bad control.
3 kills on the Lings.
Oh, this is pretty good.
He's going to be able to do some pretty serious damage here. He's not force fielding at all these roaches, getting in really close. And it looks like they're going to be able to attack the Stalkers here, but good blinks back, but he misses a lot of them, or should I say loses. And his sentries on the side, not able to force field at all. He's going to lose all of these roaches, though.
Right, that was
not kill any of the Colossus.
Yeah, that was, I mean, he's got 29 Lings coming out, right, or roaches, excuse me, coming out right now. He did lose his whole army, and the supply has more or less equalized. But, you know, he's got quite a bank. He is not really up a base, though he could very easily take this 5th here. And yeah, if RSVP had a timing to do a crap ton of damage, now is definitely that time.
Yeah, this is going to be his counterattack timing. He's really going to have to move in here.
Oh, the Stalkers get stuck without the Colossus.
All 4 of those Colossus are alive. No Colossus support for this. Good blink back. And it looks like he's going to be able to do some damage to these roaches, making them turn around. Probably going to get this 4th base here. There's no way that Spine's going to finish, and even if it didn't, wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So these Colossus going to kill this 4th base here, and now he's really limited the production of Top. So Top looks like he's going to go for the counterattack here, or at least try to pressure to get the Protoss to turn around, but he's really limited the production.
Right, and there are a lot of roaches going on right now. If his creep spread had been better, this would be a lot more effective. He is really... Top knows he's in a good position. He's trying so hard, but he did lose that base. The big thing are these Colossus. A lot of these Colossus ranking up quite a ridiculous amount of kills. You know, the Stalker is more or less expendable, and these roaches are actually in a pretty bad position. I don't think this is where Top really wants to be right now. He's going to lose a lot of these roaches for basically nothing. Top is kind of whittling away his advantage here, and it hurts.
Yeah, he's really coming in for the attack here. RSVP in the middle of this, going for that +1 air upgrade again and switching to Void Ray.
Yeah, and a fleet beacon. I think we're going to see some mothership nonsense.
I think we will.
Oh my goodness. And these roaches just getting cleaned up here. Top actually hasn't retaken this base yet, which is kind of a bad move. He's still pumping out roaches, which means he is trying so desperately hard to make this work. However, a 5th base going up for RSVP, I don't know if that's quite the right idea, as we now have RSVP's army barreling down here. That is quite a hefty amount of Colossus. That is a gaggle of a collaggle of colossi.
It's a coagulation of colossi
Ooh,
here.
some roaches trying to snipe Colossus if they can. Now they're just focusing on the stalkers. The Colossus just doing so much damage.
Oh my god. Yeah, when it comes down to it, it's been the target firing of top and GG.
And there it is.
Just one G.
Wow.
That was a game. It was in fact.
or a good, or
maybe
Geronimo.
It was a good.
Yeah.
It was a good day. It was a, I don't know.
Maybe he's trying to remind me that there's no such thing as a collaggle of Colossus. It's actually a gaggle.
Did you like my coagulation of colossi?
Well, I mean, you think about it, when you have kind of, a lot of units like Colossi, Mutalisks are also very similar. Broodlords also. When you kind of get Void Rays are another good example. When you get what is often referred to as a critical mass of those units, they just become near unstoppable. And a coagulation is actually a very good call for what that was. It just got to the point where there were so many Colossus. We do see 2 upgrades on there. I assume they have the extended thermal lance. And even if, Top's Roach Micro had been a little better, he simply just couldn't get to the Colossus to kill them. The Roaches were dying so fast.
Well, yeah, and part of the thing, this goes back to like 2 or 3 engagements ago. Do you remember when RSVP had like 2, he had 1 Colossi on the high ground, and then 1 far to the right of his third, and then 1 on the low ground, and they were kind of spread out, and he had a chance to snipe 2 of those Colossus. Well, if we go look at his Colossus ball, those are the 2 with really low health here, the one at like 30 health and 57 health, and he didn't kill either of them.
I know, he was so close.
One thing that's really important for Zerg in the PvZ matchup is to reset the Colossus count as much as possible. So that's why you often see them go for Corruptors, which he was making 3 of. You see them try to suicide in some Roaches to kill the Colossus, and he just never was able to focus down a Colossus, so they just snowballed out of control. And once you get 3 or 4 Colossus at a time, why it's a critical mass is because those little laser beams all focus on one unit, and they can kill anything in one hit at that point, basically, especially with the +2 attack upgrade.
Right.
So six Colossus here for RSVP, and that's just way too much for Top to deal with.
Exactly.
Even though he had the superior economy for so long.
Exactly. I mean, and it kind of like last game, we saw a similar problem. I mean, he sat there, and like last game, he had the Hydras and the Roaches, and he was determined to win the game with Hydras and Roaches. We saw something very similar here. I mean, these Colossus have been out since like minute 15 in the game. This is minute 21, and we're really just seeing the first Corruptors out from Top. He had the Spire out for quite a long time, but didn't really do anything with it. And these are really the first Corruptors that are coming out. So exactly, he just needed to do some damage to those Colossus. And the other beautiful thing about killing Colossus is that it forces it prevents the Protoss from moving out, right? Another big problem that Top had this game, as well as the game previous, is that once he lost those bases, he kind of lost his base gaining momentum. And so if he had managed to kill a couple Colossus, that would have bought him enough time to kind of establish a 4th base here and a 5th base here, maybe even feel confident enough to take the gold.
Yeah, I think that those are all really good points. Right. And I just really liked that the Protoss was able to move out. He had a really good game sense of like when he should move in, when he should attack, and it really came down to when he killed that 4th base.
Right.
Top just didn't feel comfortable moving back out and taking that 4th again, and he didn't have a macro hatch, so he lost a ton of his production there, and it really just snowballed out of control.
All right, well, that will be it. Congratulations to RSVP for that win. I believe this is the quarterfinals of this competition. So very good game by both of these players.